Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, now I have another episode with my world of astrology, and what I would like to talk about today, what's in it for a name, about my name. So it's so interesting to me that my name is actually Mary Joan. But ever since I was a little girl, they always called me Joni. Never, unless I was in big trouble, I was called Mary Joan, get over here right now. So, but basically I was always called Joni. So my name was Mary Joan Mailer, and Mailer was my last name. And actually I didn't like my name. And actually looking at it today, really, it wasn't bad. It was kind of pretty, Mary Joan Mailer. Okay, I like that name. I didn't when I was younger, but I was always called Joni. And what's funny was, at one point when I had my center on Lover's Lane, I would have all these different people come and teach classes at my center. And back in the mid to late 80s, rebirthing was a really big deal. Do you remember what rebirthing was all about? It's still around, but rebirthing is where you have somebody that trains you or works with you, in other words, and works with you as to make you breathe a certain way where you breathe really fast. And basically what it's doing is it's making you not have enough oxygen to your brain. I'm serious, this has to be what happens. Because in the rebirthing process, they have you breathe really, really fast. I don't remember exactly, but somebody's coaching you as to how you have to be breathing so that you don't stop the process. And in the process, you kind of hallucinate, and what you're supposed to be doing is going back to the process of when you were being born. And in that process, it really does reflect so much about you, and you go back into who you are in this process. So, and I would assume too, in this process, you could probably even go back to different lifetimes. But no, I always went back to certain things. But I had this really interesting woman that was at the center, and she was giving me a session by myself. This wasn't participating in a class. She was giving me a rebirthing session. And she followed through with the breathing exercise. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing these white, bright, iridescent, shining lights. I mean, and it wasn't, you'd think, well, maybe that was a birth canal, you know, that's what, or when you die, that canal that you go through to get to the other side. But I'm seeing this white. I can't even tell you. It wasn't white. It was beyond the color white. And in the center, I saw Mary, the Mother of God, Jesus's mother, Mother Mary. But she was dressed in white. She wasn't, you know, in the old depictions of Mary with Jesus, she was always dressed in blue. Anyway, that's what my mother always said. You got to get, and that's another thing. Because of this, I love icons. As a matter of fact, in another video, I'm going to show you all my icons, and you maybe in some shorts that will take off from this, but I'll show you my wall of icons. Everywhere I go in Europe, I collect icons. I love them because, well, to me, it's art, and it's Mother Mary with a baby. And to me, that's the most beautiful symbol, a mother with an infant baby. And because I always had those all over my walls, everybody thinks I'm very religious. As a matter of fact, my mother-in-law would come into the house and she would say, "What is this, a church or something?" No, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I just love the image of a mother and a baby and what it represents and the art behind it. And my youngest son, Austin, would always point to it and go, "That's Mama and me." And I thought that was so sweet and cute. So I love those icons. But I'll tell you probably why I love them. Because from the rebirthing session, where all that bright white, beyond white colors, I can't tell you how, I can see it in my mind's eye, the iridescence of it. And it was just like this glowing, and she was in the middle, and she was dressed completely in white with her arms out like that. And I realized that my name was Mary. And she said, "You were named after me," in the rebirthing session. I was like, wow, that's incredible. That's pretty powerful. So that night, I went to my parents' house and I told my mother about the rebirthing session and that Mary appeared to me and she says, "You know, you were named after me." My mother burst out in tears, hysterical. I thought, what? Why are you crying? She said, "I knew I had to name you that, but I absolutely hated the name." And so that's why it was Mary Joan, but I was always called Joni because she never liked the name Mary, but she was told she had to name me that. Now, to this day, every time I get worried, especially in the days when I was flying and I would be on the airplane and all of a sudden a thought would come into my mind, typical fearful thought a mother might have when your children are really little and they were staying at my mother's house and my mother had a big swimming pool and I would think, oh, what if they get out? What if they get out when she's not looking and they crawl into the pool and drown? All of a sudden I'd go into a panic hysteria attack and I'd be on an airplane. No way I could even call or anything just to say, "Hey, I'm freaking out. Will you double check the children?" Couldn't even do that. So I would go into these panic attacks and then I would think, ask Mary for help. And I would say divine, and I got to the point where I would call her Divine Mother because being from, studies in India and, around the world, we all have a symbolic image of the spirit of Mother to the world, Divine Mother, Mother Mary, whatever it is. This is the most unconditional love of all. And of course, if you have children, and especially if you're a mother, you know unconditional love. But I would pray to Mary, and I would beg and I would plead, "Please, please, please, please take care of my children, please, please," over and over and over, all of that. And finally, the voice said, "Stop it. I heard you. Just ask one time and your prayer is answered. Quit the begging and the pleading. Just ask and your prayer is answered." And I got to tell you, every time now, when I pray to Divine Mother, and I try not to beg and plead, I just say, "Please protect my children." And of course, to this day, now I'm saying, "Please protect my children, their wives, and my grandchildren." When I get fearful, I ask Divine Mother to please protect them. And I say it once because I know the prayer is answered and they're protected. And guess what? That fear goes away. That crazy where you feel like you're going into panic attack mode, it goes away. Because I know Divine Mother, I know Mary heard my prayer, and I'm connected to her. And I am really grateful I was named after her. When I travel or whenever I go, with my passport, It says Mary Joan. And it's so weird. They call Mary and I'm like, oh, that's me. Because I've been known by Joni my whole life. But I've got another story about a name. This is the craziest thing to me. Okay, my husband, Daniel, and you guys know my last name's Patry. A lot of people will say Patry because it's P-A-T-R-Y. But one time when I was at a conference, I remember exactly where it was. It was when I was teaching at the Bava conference in London, and Camilla Sutton was there. And Camilla said, did you know that your name means horoscope? I said, what are you talking about? She says, Patry. It means horoscope in Sanskrit in India. I'm like, or Hindi. I was like, are you kidding? Yes. My last name, no coincidences, right? In India means horoscope. It's actually spelled P-A-T-R-I. And I thought that there is no coincidences in this world that I'm to marry a man, that my last name becomes horoscope in India. And here I am, a Vedic astrologer. That's just unbelievable. I mean, I bet in India they think I changed my name, because I know people that change their name to like star, or, you know, things that are relative to astrology, like Gloria Star. They change their names so that they reflect their business. But I never changed my name. As a matter of fact, that's even more indication that I was meant to be with the man that I married, because my name, it's so crazy. Means horoscope, Patry, in India. Go figure. The coincidences, there's no such thing as a coincidence, really and truly, you know that. It's all the way it's supposed to be. And now you all know that my name is really Mary. And it's funny because I have this amazing client who now calls me Mary, because he's connected to Divine Mother Mary as well. And it's Finbar, and I hope you're watching this, but he always calls me Mary now because of our connection to the Divine Mother Mary. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I am sure that all of you could tell me stories about your name and the connections and all of the coincidences that our life is so much a part of. So thank you for listening.